Watch every tournament upset, every highlight with the fan at Hop House. You can join Guardsy, Meat Sauce, Parker Fox for Bracket Bash watch parties today. Tipping off at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. You can catch college hoops on the big screens, prizes flowing all day long, including 65-inch TVs. Get all the details, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Minnesota Wild head coach John Hynes joins 9 to noon. Hynesy, about 30 minutes from now from Tria Rink in St. Paul, where the Minnesota Wild is conducting looks to be a full participation morning skate in advance of the final game this season against the Chicago Blackhawks. And who better to talk about that and much more than Michael Russo at Russo Hockey via X, and he covers the Wild, writes about the NHL, and much more at The Athletic and theathletic.com. Now, 9 to noon has been of the breaking news ilk today, including right out of the gate reporting. You know, we're identified as journalistic excellence in reporting and breaking news, and we reported that Marcus Foligno was going to skate today at 10 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
And he did. So here he is out here. All right. So that's all we do is break news. Well, sources inform us that very recently, you and television play-by-play voice Anthony LaPanta did a podcast and got into a heated argument. Can you confirm, A, you did a podcast together very recently, and B, there was a legitimate argument, and good morning.
Yeah, we always get into arguments, but this one, this guy.
Are you done with him?
This guy.
So, like, no trip to Scotland, Italy?
No, let's still do that.
Isle of Patmos?
Tuscany?
Tuscany.
We are doing the Como.
Okay.
But, man.
So it ain't that bad.
Let's put it this way.
This guy.
It's three or 4 months from now, and it couldn't happen.
Okay.
Well, and you only fly Delta One, so it's not like you'll have to sit next to him on the flight.
True.
In fairness, since we're gravy training low-hanging fruit here via source. So, man, my sources are on fire today. Holy cow, breaking news business. What up? The podcast that you're mentioning, what's it called and where can people find it?
Word Seats in the House on the Talk North Network. It's you can get it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts.
What was the argument?
Just about the playoff format again and how stupid he is. Well, and how him and Gary Bettman are like literally the only two people in the world that think this format makes sense.
Yeah, and in fairness, Michael is just back from Florida and those general manager meetings where you can see via Mike's tweet machine at Russo Hockey or read it via The Athletic, as I did this morning. Bettman doubled and tripled down.
Yeah, no, that was
unbelievable.
That was a back and forth with me, and he basically admitted that it's all about money. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was him and I in this press conference. But it just look. I can go on and on about this and how essentially it's a balanced schedule, right? You're playing some teams in your division 3 times, some 4. You're playing across the conference 3 times. So everybody's playing the same schedule. So it's absurd to have a playoff format where it's divisional rivalries when now Utah, the top wildcard team, has an easier path to win the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup winner should be the best team in the league. You shouldn't get to play Anaheim, who the Wild, by the way, had beaten like 21 straight times.
Preach.
In the first round, if you're Utah, it's not fair to Craig Leopold. Leopold has spent the max this season to have a team that's going to wind up being probably third best, at least in the conference, and maybe in the NHL in terms of points. And it's not fair to the Dallas owner also that these two teams in the first round are going to go up against each other. And this is the way I'd feel if it was anybody. And Gary basically admitted that it's because it creates competitive. It creates the best first round ever, which is true. We all know, as last week I ripped the NBA to you, we all know that I'm the bottom teams in that league, and we all know the NBA first round sucks.
Yeah.
So I get it.
And that's what hardcore hockey fans are looking for, is a super competitive
But you would
round.
get that if it was 1 versus 8 too. You'd get upsets, you'd get the eyeballs and all that stuff. But somehow he's just going to, like LaPanta, Bettman is, just stubborn on this subject because he's always had the opinion and they're unwilling to ever change their opinions. And this is insane. And so basically Gary admitted that it's just because of eyeballs on the division. Well, and so which by the way equates to money, and that doesn't help Craig Leopold if they lose in the first round again, and they don't, they won it's ridiculous they start on the road, so by definition you're going to have one less home game at a minimum. And the other reason is that, if they get bounced again in the first round, it's going to create another belief that everybody failed. You don't get the money of the second round gate. You don't get the money of the third round gate. So it's those owners that are getting screwed despite spending $100 million in cap money this year to field a team that was this good, and your reward is to play them. And it's just, to me, insane, and I don't understand how LaPanta can't see it that way.
Yeah.
When just look at the reaction of my article today.
Yeah.
And the fans nationwide, globally, not just in Minnesota. These are fans coming out of the woodwork from every market. Look at the comments in the story, and everybody disagrees with Gary Bettman on this. You asked
so you're
GMs
saying you know more about the league than the commissioner?
No, I'm saying that as usual, the commissioner's not worried about the competitiveness of the league. He's worried about the money, the financial aspect, and
kind of an important part.
And but you know what? Sorry, give me a break.
I'm sorry.
All right, that same money would be there.
Don't
anyway.
leave.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
what about
the best?
What about the recency aspect of this, Russo? I mean, the reaction to it, in part, certainly locally, is the fact that the Wild are third in this conversation in a super competitive division. But maybe there's some recency bias to this. This isn't going to happen every single
that's his
season.
Take?
I don't even know what his take is. I tune him out. I'm so fatigued.
I mean,
on
the
this subject
back-to-back
with
Cup
him.
champs. Are you saying that the Florida Panthers should not have had the opportunity to win those cups, and maybe they only won them because of the current playoff format?
I'm saying that this format is not allowing the 82 game, soon to be 84 regular season to determine what the playoff seeding should be.
Yeah,
and we saw it last. This isn't just an aberration, as Anthony's saying. We saw it last year when Dallas and Colorado had to play in the first round.
Yeah.
Look,
I totally agree.
Every
with you.
playoff format has its downfalls. There's no doubt about that. And be careful, as Bill Guerin said in my story today. Be careful what you wish for, because you're always going to have upsets in the first round and things like that. But I don't think there's anybody in the world that can logically say that the potential second-best team in the conference and third-best team in the conference should play in round one. That is an idiotic belief.
Yeah, I don't dig it either.
It's insane. And the fact that Anthony just is digging in his heels on this just drives me crazy.
But, okay, I'm not going to ask you why he's digging in his heels, because we have him here in 45 minutes.
Look at those pads, man.
And
is that Connor Beaupre?
Yeah, it's Connor Beaupre.
Those are awesome.
Yep, those are old school, super old school, right? Kind of throwing us back to the Bernie Perrant days.
Yeah,
I'm just trying. There, yes, we made him laugh. Bernie Wolf.
Actually, I was laughing at a text I just got from an NHL ref.
Oh, so my bit's not funny?
Yeah, no, it was funny.
Is that the guy from Lakeville?
No.
Oh, who has officiated 124 games?
124 by the 19th.
Yeah. See, we read your stories. We have all your albums.
124 in this building, I should
We're
say.
on your side.
Well,
I'm on your side, believe it or not. I just don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read into it enough. But
it's like you being fired up.
Well, this story, this general manager's gathering in Florida, Russo Radio there, arguing with Bettman in a press conference. You can read.
I wouldn't say arguing.
You can read all about it, but just
debating.
I have a plan here.
Theater of the mind.
Yeah, subscriptions for The Athletic, or theathletic.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Maybe the editor-in-chief at the New York Times asked me to go down this road. But here's the deal. Subscribe to The Athletic so you can read in full context about the argument the preeminent beat writer had with the commissioner of the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman.
It definitely wasn't an argument. I don't want to portray that.
How much, moving forward, how much do you trust Gus?
I mean, look, he's been really, really good. I mean, he's won a ton of games since November. He's usually wins a ton of games at home, and he's been outstanding since the Olympics. So, save for maybe one game. So I have trust in Gus. Yeah. I mean, as Anthony likes to say, this is the format. Everybody knew it. This is the goaltender. Everybody knew it. So you better have trust in Gus.
When the Blackhawks, all right. Ollie Moore's hurt. I know he's fast.
Yeah.
Bedard is a tricky figure for me, but I know he's good, but I don't think he's impacting things the way everybody said he was when he came in as ballyhooed as he did. Kind of reminds me of John Tavares, but we can talk about that another time. The Blackhawks, when are they going to be legitimately good again?
I think they're on the rise. I think they've got a lot of really, really good young players.
Do you love Bedard? Am I out of my
I love
lane
him this
saying
year.
that?
I love him this year. I think he's been great. I thought he was great the other night against the Wild. He's been outstanding since the Olympics, which I know is disappointing that he didn't make the team for Team Canada.
Okay.
But I think he's added a pep to his step this year. I would agree with you that he's not going to be probably as impactful as like a Macklin Celebrini, but I will say that the last couple of years where I was starting to wonder about the impact that Connor Bedard can have. I think he's going to be just a really, really good player, and I do think Chicago's on the rise. They got a lot of really good young kids. I mean, they're as young as there is in the league. They're adding size.
Yeah.
So I do like them. I think they're going to be really good, but in a very tough division, as we just talked about. When especially if Quinn resigns here, that the Wild are going to be a team that's going to be the one to contend with for many years. Utah's on the rise. Colorado and Dallas are going nowhere. So Chicago could just keep on getting better and better and still wind up in the fifth spot.
I remember when the Kings won the Cup as an 8, and I think it was Dustin Brown and just some of these other these big physical defensemen that they had. And, teams have that for sure. The Blackhawks have a couple at least. These guys are big, man, and the arms are long. But, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because, 10 of 10 more about it than me. You can have that. But if they're not the right guys and they get tired, they're lumbering in a speed league. And people blow by them, so it can be a disadvantage too, right?
Absolutely, and we see that sometimes with the Wild. I mean, when you're coming up with a team, Bill Guerin always says it. You just don't want big guys. You want big guys that can play. You don't want just fast guys. You want fast guys that can play. So there's lots of ways to build a team. I look at this Wild team as having a lot of balance up and down their lineup.
Great.
I can't wait to see them play. Hopefully they don't look past Chicago tonight, because I think everybody's looking forward to that exciting game against Dallas in a couple days, because as we all know.
But if they lose tonight, does it matter?
No, right now it would be devastating.
Yeah, right. This would be a devastating one, no doubt.
So,
the best.
You're right.
Who cares?
That's going to be the really fascinating part of this down the stretch here for the Wild, is that they're locked and loaded pretty much to the 3 seed.
Correct.
So they're starting on the road, whether it's in Denver or Dallas. And so I think it gives John Hynes, and this might be something to talk to him about, it gives him some ability to maybe experiment with some things. And I think we're seeing that right now with some of the different line changes and throwing Tarasenko in the top 6. Yeah. Maybe when Brink comes back, throwing him in the top 6. Johansson obviously is probably still the guy, the front runner, the clubhouse leader, and probably starting in the top 6 with Boldy and Eriksson Ek when the playoffs begin. But I think what this allows them to do, which the Wild haven't had this ability in many, many, many years, is give the coach abilities to just see different things that he could pull out of his bag of tricks once the playoffs start.
Right.
If inside a game he has to change things up to see who works together. So I think this gives them a real good opportunity. And look, they just had the 3-game losing streak at home. Bill Guerin, talked about wanting urgency and wanting them not to limp in the playoffs. And I think what he was doing is kind of, trying to, get in front of it, because he saw last year, not that the Wild are locked to make the playoffs, but last year they weren't, and they almost, if it wasn't for an Eriksson Ek goal, they miraculously made the playoffs, and it would have been an unbelievable meltdown to not make it. But I think that he doesn't want to see what happened last year, where the Wild lost 9 in a row at one point in March, essentially won 5, I think, of 15 games. They had that one game on Long Island where there was a really bad missed call in terms of a major penalty called on Middleton, and Billy went nuts after the game, called the referee and effing you-know-what. I think that he's trying to get ahead of it and just doesn't want to see this team sort of get into a complacent stage right now. So that's the tough part when you're locked and loaded for the playoffs like this, and your seed is pretty much locked and loaded.
Agreed.
Is that you just want to make sure that, 1, you're healthy, but 2, your foot continues to be on the gas, and not get into that position where then when the playoffs start, you're not primed and ready to go.
You mentioned Vladimir Tarasenko, maybe among those that Hynes can experiment with, find the right spot for. Kind of the idea when he was brought in, maybe the resurrection of his career, or can we capture something from years gone by? He's got nearly 20 goals, nearly 40 points. What do you think about Tarasenko's year, and can he be an asset in the series that counts moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, he's played well, especially lately. Obviously, 3 goals in his last 2 games. Doesn't get a ton of power play time because he's not on the power play, the number 1 unit. And he usually is playing in that third line role because they tried him in the top 6 earlier in the year and it just didn't seem to work. So I think that he gives you, I mean, the one thing about him is he still has that incredible shot. And I think that, come playoff time, that could be really, really useful on a team that they're going to have some major decisions to make on who comes out when Marcus Foligno comes back in if they're healthy. They're right now, it could be Nick. I mean, frankly, it could be Bobby Brink. I think that's why Brink is really anxious to get back in the lineup, and he's no longer out there. So who knows? We'll find out from John what that means. If there's a potential of him playing with this, and that his injury that he dealt with the other day is getting better, or is better. So it's just going to be really interesting. But to get back to your Tarasenko point, he's had that up and down season, but for what they expected of him. I think he feels like he's got a lot of trust from his coaches right now, and I think that for the role that he's in, he's done pretty well.
With openings, with big spot jobs too, Golden Gophers hockey men and women's programs, with Frosty and Matsko, and the school moving on in a different direction. And I'm being serious here. Do you guys work that beat at all? I mean,
we wrote it yesterday, which sometimes felt like part of it yesterday is almost like hypocritical because we really don't during the year. Then all of a sudden, Bob leaves, and next thing you know, you're writing on it. But I mean, part of it is
What's
also
a blue blood program.
Yeah, and also part of it is like Bob is so entrenched in this area from his time, as a student at the U to coaching there, and going to St. Cloud, and then coming back. He's had an unbelievably good college career. Coaching. From my experience with him, he's a great guy. I can't say that I know him incredibly well, but when I've had a relationship with him, he's been so respectful. Phone calls back, texts, things like that.
Yep.
So I think that's what should be celebrated. Is maybe not how it ended this disappointing season, but the college career and his impact on hockey here in the state of Minnesota. The timing. I do think he mutually parted ways. I think he probably felt it was time, and I'm sure they did too. I think that, his contract was ending next year. Most likely he was going to retire anyway. Yeah. So that's probably the only reason why the timing's a little, surprising. But I'm excited for Bob that he's going to get to enjoy the rest of his days here, having fun and not dealing with that stress. College hockey is not what it used to be. It's basically a business now. It's kind of a pro sport. I think that we see it at North Dakota. They have a GM. I think you almost need that now. You need It's so crazy now with Canadian major junior hockey players allowed to come over down and flood the NCAAs and play NIL, the transfer portal. And I just think that you need to have either a coach that's really young that is willing to not only recruit but deal with all that, or have somebody that's sort of dealing with all that on the side, GM Kevin Gorg or GM Pat Micheletti or something.
Why not?
Or
Brett Blakemore.
Yeah, there you go. Brett, he has all the answers.
100%. He runs the Arizona State program.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen it on X.
But and same thing with Brad Frost, by the way. I mean, what a career that he had at the University of Minnesota, and just, he's going to have a long career still coaching hockey, and maybe it'd be perfect to have a guy named Frost coach the Frost one day.
Right. So. I want to end like this, and I'm being serious here. For those who don't subscribe to The Athletic and 9 to Noon, has subscribed pretty much since the inception, the first day. Russo, if you're into the Wild, all right, or into hockey, Russo Radio has 3 stories there right now. One, Billy G getting really candid about his expectations and slow starts and things like that. That's a couple days old. We got this argument between Russo and the commissioner, Gary Bettman. That's story number 2. And most recently, I love how you laid out the expectations for Bill Guerin to go big game, big-name hunting this offseason and what the things with which he has to work.
Yeah.
For those who missed it, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that fans, obviously, that were disappointed that they didn't go at center at the deadline have every reason to be disappointed. And I think that you don't know Bill Guerin really well if you don't think that he tried. And what he did when he tried, though, is he probably set the table for some potential things that happened this summer. He wants to go out and add to this team. Obviously, they have a great superstar in Quinn Hughes, a great superstar in Kirill Kaprizov, and a budding star in Matt Boldy. They got Eriksson Ek, they got Faber, they got good goaltending. There's a lot to like about this team and a lot to lure other players that have maybe no trades and no moves here. There's going to be potential fireworks throughout the National Hockey League this offseason. I think Robert Thomas is probably going to be on the move, maybe. And then they're going to have a decision to make in Toronto on what are they going to do about this very disappointing, underwhelming, underachieving Toronto Maple Leafs club. And
I'll
maybe
take
is this the beginning of maybe an Austin Matthews leaving or a Matty Nyes, to your point, or things like that? Ottawa with Brady Tkachuk if they don't make the playoffs. So, the point is that not that he's got deals in the works and things like that. They still have to have the assets. Like, I still have my doubts on what the Wild will be able to do just because they've traded so many assets away in the last couple of years from basically throwing away Huznadinov to the picks that they gave up in the Juracek deal to obviously what they had to give up in the Quinn Hughes deal. So we just did a thing in the Athletic yesterday where their number 2 prospect pool,
Scott Wheeler,
have
all your albums
plummeted down to 23, and it's because they don't have a ton of things here. And so if you were going to trade a Brady Tkachuk or Robert Thomas or Austin Matthews, and you're a GM and you're looking at the template of the Quinn Hughes trade, you're going to want that same type of package back for those guys. Well, do the Wild have that package anymore? No, they don't have a Rossi, Boyum, or Ogren to trade anymore, plus a first. They have the first. Is Stramel move the needle? Does Urov move the needle? I mean, I got to think we're looking at from just a Minnesota point of view, but other teams are going to be able to look at that template and say, this is what we can come up with. So I don't even know if he's going to be able to do it, but I definitely know that he's going to try to do it.
2-hour right, as we see it on radio, with the scratch players like Hunter Haight and stuff. Is that Wallstedt?
That is Wallstedt, yes.
Yeah, he's having a rough run of it. Holy cow. Holy cow. I mean, Hunter Haight, just wow.
Yeah,
right.
So Haight, Fabry, Petrie, and Foligno are the scratches, and Hunt are the scratches.
I've been meaning to ask you this, too.
By the way, that's not Wallstedt. That's Gus.
Oh, that was Gus? Cool.
Yeah.
What is the dish on Petrie? I'm just kidding. I just wanted to say Petrie dish.
All right.
I'll see you, bud.
I needed that to end with a big laugh.
Because you came in here so freaking complicated.
All of a sudden, Nordo's like, put your thumb up for a picture. I'm like, no pictures.
But the social media piece thing is like I go from hearing one person say, I'm not doing this person's work, and then the person decides to do the work, and then somebody rejects them and says, no pictures.
It's unbelievable.
I'm like, holy cow, what's happening in my life right now?
Yeah, sorry. That was a LaPanta. LaPanta does that to me.
Anthony will be here at 11 o'clock, so I can't wait.
And trust me, he won't be as pissed as I was, and
we'll get him there.
I don't think you will.
We'll get. Oh no, his food on Sunday night on X sucks.
Yeah,
I'll start there.
All right. See ya.
See you, bud. Michael Russo at Russo Hockey via X 1030. Hynes next.
Yeah. Hansen now. Center. Zuccarello scores. Matt Zuccarello wins it in overtime. Nice setup by Johansson, and with $1:51 to go in the extra session, the Wild prevail in this one, 4-3 from United Center.
Sounds of hockey. Wild.
Personal foul. Clipping.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins us for Box in the Box at 10:35 from Trier Rink in St. Paul. The season's winding down, 13 to go. Bodies, probably tired with some, minds tired with a lot. Reason I bring that up, it's just weird here today. There are like arguments all over the place, and here's what I mean. So Michael Russo preceded you from like 10 o'clock till like 10:25. Well, he comes in here hot as bleep. I'm like, what's going on? Well, him and Anthony LaPanta got in an argument, like down
Really?
these stairs
Really?
about, yes. And it was, I mean, not like a friendship ending argument. It was on a podcast, but it was about the playoff format. And Russo Radio gets back from Florida and that GM thing, and he and Bettman are going back and forth on the playoff format.
Yeah.
So I'm immediately thinking, all right, how can we poke Michael? He's vulnerable here. Even if we don't believe it, how can we keep this going? He was hot about the playoff format. You guys, with the great season you've had, hooking Colorado or Dallas in the first round, probably without home ice with respect, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and he thinks it's dumb. So do I. LaPanta's here with us at 11 o'clock, so I can't wait to get his side.
Oh, boy, you got a full day going.
How great is this when other people are arguing and it doesn't, involve you? Isn't it the best?
I just sit back and observe.
With the playoff format the way it is, do you think about it? Does it bug you? Do you think it's wrong? Do you just play who's in front of you? How do you handle it?
You know what? It's for me. It's we have to play who's in front of us.
Yeah.
I think debating that and thinking about it here or there is maybe for the off season.
Mm-hmm.
But for our mindset, we're involved, we're competing, and we need to make sure that we're ready to play whoever we play. And
no doubt,
that's how I'm going to approach it.
Good to see Moose out there today. In fact, he's still out there. Marcus Foligno with the Foligno face-off with him and his brother Nick, and hockey raising money and heightening awareness for to beat cancer. Moose will be on the radio show about 40 minutes from now. So with Marcus, conditioning, just getting him back out there now, it's just a step that has to be taken, right?
Yeah, exactly. He started skating a couple days ago, so now this is, you just start to ramp it up and increase the time, the intensity, the frequency of it, and he's done a very good job on his recovery. There's been no issues, but now it's that next step of all those things you talked about of getting back on the ice and seeing where he goes from there.
It's an art, I would imagine. I'm not, you're not the certified athletic trainer, but you work closely with that staff and everything. So, getting into the medicine and the science and things like that, you're a coach. But it's an art to bringing people back, right? As to when you push, when you don't, when you push harder, and the player doesn't necessarily think he's going to get pushed harder. It's like what goes into that art?
Well, there's a lot. I think it's almost like coaching, right? There's an art and a science to it, and I think when you're bringing a player back, there is a science part of it, of just the medical getting back of what his progression should be, and then it's knowing and planning out when you're going to work him hard, when you're going to test him, when he needs recovery, how he then the art part of it is how does he recover? Can you push more?
Yeah.
And then the later the rehab goes, the closer it becomes to playing. It really becomes more of an art, particularly with the player and how they feel and how
honesty.
They respond to things. Yeah.
Right. The honesty of the player, right? And it sounds like, I think it was last year with Kaprizov when everybody was asking you about a million things. And then it kind of comes down to they want to play. Are they ready to play? And you got to read between the lines to make sure they're being square with you.
Correct, and that's where you have to rely. You do have to rely on the player, but also I think the doctors and the trainers. Sometimes you have to save a player from himself as well, where they may want to play because they want to get in there, but they might need another week or a few more days or a certain style of practice before. So it's always touch and go. When you're bringing players back, but that is the process we usually go through.
Coach, tonight against the Blackhawks, 6:30, Grand Casino Arena, 4-3 overtime win. Sounds good, right? Just might as well have a fourth 4-3 overtime win against these guys. Holy cow!
Yeah, it's been a lot of tight games against them, and we're obviously playing in the back-to-back, so it was nice to get the win and get back in the win column for us.
Yes, sir.
But, we're looking to play a complete game tonight and get a win on home ice. We haven't had one in 3 games.
When Gus had to go to the room late during that victory at Chicago, watching it on TV, you looked perplexed. You just looked confused. What was on your mind?
Yeah, I was a little. He didn't say anything when he came off, and usually I was first and foremost was just, is he okay? I didn't know what was going on with him, whether it was equipment or something physical
or bathroom break.
Yeah, and then but thankfully it was something and with his equipment, and then it was just the refs are like, well, we got to get going, and I'm like, well, listen, I got to figure out what's going on with the player first. Can you give me another minute?
100%.
And then Wally comes trotting out, and I said, oh, well, this is what we're doing. And then, I'm glad that Gus got it fixed and came back in, and Wally did a heck of a job. He went in and made 2 big saves for us.
I mean, you guys have had such a good season, and you shipped in for Hughes, and just some of the deals you made. It's clearly there is a central focus of winning in the postseason, trying to hoist a Stanley Cup for the state of Minnesota. A lot of teams may have that approach, or they may want to do it, but I mean, you guys have done things to do it, and you're one of the 3, 4, 5 best teams in the NHL. Why I bring all that up is from a coaching standpoint, is it strange right now? Is it just different right now because human nature in sports, life, and everything gets to win too occasionally? And if you got players, or maybe you and the coaches kind of know, hey, it's a super high percentage. We're going to play one of these 2 teams in round 1. We got 13 to go. We're 6 behind one of them. Hey, if we beat them twice in regulation, we get 4 points. That could tilt things. But the percentages sway the way of certain things. So when it comes to the preaches before games, practice, stuff like that, making sure everybody's dialed into every single thing, every game, despite knowing the carrot that's kind of dangling in front of everybody, is that challenging?
Yeah, I think it's challenging all the time as a coach, whether you're in the situation we're in now, or whether you're in training camp or the regular season. We use the phrase a lot. You have to be where your feet are, and in the future that the playoffs are going to be there, but right now you have to win the game that's in front of you, and you have to have a present focus no matter what you're doing. When you're thinking about into the future, or you're anticipating different things and you're not in the now, then you're not taking care of business. And that's our message. That's our approach as coaches. It's always been my approach as a coach, and it's leading that way, but I think it's also the players understanding the constant themes that you have all year starting in training camp. So when you get to these environments, it's not all over the map. You just come back to what your trains of thoughts are, your messaging is, your mindsets are, and you're just preaching those and reminding of it, and making sure that we're in the present where our feet are, and that today is getting ourselves ready to play Chicago and move on from there.
So, but okay, now say you move forward, you play some games, you win in overtime, lose in overtime, whatever. And there gets to be a point where it's like 97%, it looks like it's going to be this, and home or road or whatever. Does that give you the opportunity to tinker? Does that give you an opportunity to try some people with some people that maybe you wouldn't in higher leverage situations?
Yeah, I do think that's that is part of it when you're in the position we're in. Yes, it does gives you the luxury to try some different combos that you may think could work, or you might use in the playoffs. But I think that's kind of natural, anyways, where we do want to see some different guys. You might get an injury. You might get different combinations. Maybe a line's hot early in the series. It goes a little bit dry as the series goes on. So, there's certainly some of those things that enter our mind, and some things that we'll do down the stretch here.
And see, John, what I'm getting at with the human nature aspect of it, I mean, from a coach's standpoint, it's serendipity. I mean, there are positives that can transpire from potential negatives, in that if you're watching it back or in skates and you see somebody not moving their feet because they kind of know what my role is going to be against whom and when we start, well, that gives the person behind them an opportunity, not necessarily to jump them, but to get out there and play more minutes and make life better for the team, and maybe difficult for people where human nature is winning.
Yeah, for sure. And you're always cognizant of that, I think, as a coach. You're always looking for those things. I mean, complacency is something that, you always have to be on guard for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think with the team that we have now, and I think the situation we're in, we have, a really good group of guys. We have a deep team. We have players that are competing for ice time, in and out of the lineup. And if you're in the lineup, what that ice time is going to be. There's a lot of things that always go into it.
With Quinn Hughes, and the dazzling nature of the offensive side of his game, and just how he sees the next thing so beautifully while he has the puck. I've never asked you about his defense, like team defense, individual defense, being on the smaller side, more diminutive side, knowing how playoff hockey is played. They'll probably chip it down to where he is and try to beat him up. I mean, it's age old in the playoffs. How is he with all of that? Is he just his defense? What do you think?
He's good. I mean, I've had the opportunity to have him now for 30 games, and plus the Olympics, and seeing him play on that stage. Quinn's a great skating player. Cares about defense. He cares about keeping the puck out of his net. I think he understands how we want to play. He's not a one-dimensional player. I think the things obviously that stand out a lot of times with offensive players is their ability to make plays and all those things that you said. But on the other side of it, it might take a guy like Jonas Brodin who doesn't jump off the screen in a game like Quinn does, but he's an unbelievably hard player to play against. And I think Quinn has that defensive element to his game. It's just probably not as recognized as much because you always see the offensive side jumps off the ice or to the eyes watching the game.
Are you a fan of 3-on-3 to settle things before the shootout?
I think I'm not a huge 3-on-3 fan. I think for the regular season, I understand why it happens. The games do have to end. I think I'm glad that it doesn't happen in the playoffs. Having the experience in the Olympics, we were fortunate to be on the right side of a 3-on-3 to win the gold medal. But I think if you lose that, you probably feel differently. I think at high stakes environments for a championship or playoffs or things like that, where the schedule lends itself that you could play 2 to 3 overtimes if needed, because there's no back-to-backs, there's different types of travel. I think it's better settled that way at times.
Well, the reason I ask is it was different for the gold when, Werenski hits Jack Hughes, and there we go, and is the best ever. But I'm looking at your bench there, and everybody's A+, A, or A-. Now, regular season with every team's different, but when you get into a 3-on-3 and you got no checking and stuff like that, it's a speed thing. How much does it limit a coach's ability to use certain members of personnel that you like and they're fresh and everything, but it's 3-on-3, man. It's a speed thing.
Yeah, it does limit. It's a speed thing. It's more. There's a lot of defensively. It's a lot of one-on-one. So that's where skating is a big. I think skating and smarts is a big factor in 3-on-3. Like, there's some guys that are really good 5-on-5, but when it gets into that wide open ice and things like that, just their skill set doesn't lend itself to be a 3-on-3 guy. So it does limit your bench. The Olympics, you could probably play everybody on the team, but when you get in the NHL, there's different makeups of the team, and it does limit the amount of guys you can use and the types of players that you use.
And here, Quinn Hughes is like high-end 3-on-3 type guy. If he was playing somewhere else and you were watching it, high-end 3-on, like Cole Caulfield from Montreal. Like, he's a high-end 3-on-3 guy, right?
Correct. Yeah, Quinn's high-end like that. Caulfield is like that. I think I think we have some really good. Carill's very good.
Yeah, Faber's good.
Bolds is good. Faves is good. Spurgey's good. Yeah. Fortunately for us, we do have some depth. 3-on-3 that does benefit us when we're healthy.
And here it is, Johansson to Zuki winning it.
Yeah,
after all those names.
Zuki, JoJo, Eki. Vladdy's been good on the 3-on-3. So you have, like I said, and the other part is you have to have guys that can defend when called upon on 3-on-3. But you also need some guys that can put the puck in the net when they get a chance, and all of those guys can.
Last one. What makes for a good player in shootouts? I'm not asking you how you pick whatever player and put him where. Yeah. But not every, and this is kind of tying football and hockey together. You can have really good DBs and really good linebackers. Not everybody blitzes well. They either show it and then people know it's coming, or they just don't handle it the right way, but they're Pro Bowlers. In hockey, not everybody's good at shootout, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. There's guys that, for example, though, when you do pick them, a lot of it is you go on track record. Like, you might think a guy's a good goal scorer, but then he's 0 for 10 in the shootout, career-wise. You know, so for us, it's not on a whim. It's not just the best players. It's the guys that have the best statistics and track record that can score. Sometimes they get hot, sometimes they don't. Yeah. What makes a good shootout player is obviously they have to have the ability to score, but it's really do what they do best. If you're a shooter, it's that you want to shoot, not deke. If you're a guy if you're a deker and you're going to fake the goalie out, usually you need to have 2 good moves. You got to have one, because they usually scout each other. So I think if you're going to have 2 good moves for that, that's important. But I think it's do what you're best at.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me, Patrick Kane now, good, but I mean, when he was with the Blackhawks with Taves and Duncan Keith and that whole thing, when he was super high end, him in the shootout, that when you were explaining that reminded me of him, where he would slow roll it up there back and forth. He had two moves, and they almost worked every single time. It was the coolest thing in the world to watch. That's how he played, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, he had two moves. He could also shoot, so there's a little bit of unpredictability to the shooter, which is important. But as you said, I think he was money when he was back in Chicago, and at times he was almost unstoppable.
Tear it up tonight. Keep everybody healthy.
All right, thanks
for the time, my brother. Now Russo and LePanta are down there still arguing. Okay, so
all right, I'll go referee.
Yeah, please do. Be Mills Lane. Be the Mills Lane of Tria today.
All right,
that's John Hynes. Anthony LePanta joins us coming up about 15 minutes from now, and an update from the world of sports via News du Nord is next.
Welcome back, 9 to noon, live Box in the Box presentation. We are here at Tria for Morning Skate. Morning Skate has concluded. My goodness, as things start to quiet down here in the arena. I don't know if Damon Hunt and Jeff Petrie did something wrong, but they have been sent through the freaking ringer. One heck. I'm getting tired watching it, this conditioning that they're putting out there on the ice right now. Looks like Volstedt's going to be in net, and Marcus Foligno, he was back on the ice. He's going to join 9 to noon final hour. Probably unlikely to play this evening, but it's good to see that Foligno back on the ice and skating, and Anthony LePanta is going to join us throughout the final hour as well. Some more Minnesota Wild conversation, but this is indeed News du Nord, and it's brought to you by the casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com, poker, blackjack, and table games all year round, live racing in the spring, and you know the website, CanterburyPark.com. And if you are in Shakopee, it is NCAA tournament season, and first game kicking off, I believe it's going to be Ohio State and TCU around 11:15. Why don't you check out the Hop House, because we have some really cool stuff going on. I don't have the times for tomorrow. I know Max Fuller and Zach Halverson are going to be down there in Shacktown as well. But at the Hop House, starting at 11, he's probably on site right now. Justin Guard from 11 to 1, and then Saucy Sauce from 2 to 4 p.m., Parker Fox 5 to 7 p.m., and they're giving away all kinds of prizes. We got the Bracket Bash on KFAN, and so many ways to sink your teeth into that. Now, I am the foremost and all-knowing authority on the NCAA tournament and games, picking brackets and all that, so I'm just going to tell you, it's 11:15. I think Ohio State's going to win. Yeah, breaking news 9 to noon. We broke the news that Marcus Foligno would skate. I think Ohio State's going to take that one. Now to the pro hoop side, the Wolves on the back-to-back against Utah last night. And non-playoff team as Utah is, I mean, when they're rolling out Sensabaugh, they're rolling out Ace Bailey and trying to get some opportunities and experience for these youngins, you should expect to win, whether or not you have Anthony Edwards in the lineup. Dusumu and Bones Highland, 2 nights in a row, only for 2 nights, have been absolutely terrific as part of this Anthony Edwards-less Wolves lineup. Dusumu, 23, 9, and 6. Beautiful game last night for him. 3 takes as well. Bones Highland, 18 off the bench. And as I mentioned, it was an absolute throttling, 147, 111. PA and I talking about this earlier and just kind of the recency of things, and a lot of heavy opinions being laced or placed on the shoulders, with Anthony Edwards. Hey, look at how the defense works. Look at how Dusumu operates. Look at how this thing works without Anthony in the lineup. I just think that's more recency related to the consistency conversation, related to, his coach's message getting through, all of those things that play into it. And we just need Anthony to get healthy and get this thing back in the mix, and we need to stay out of the freaking play-in. So beating non-playoff teams is the story. And next up, I believe tomorrow night at Target Center, Portland's in town, and might as well just make it 3-0 for the Howl. One thing we might get into final hour, I can guarantee you it'll be discussed during tomorrow's Friday football feast, is the Vikings have added Carson Wentz back to the mix. Carson Wentz, remember him? Signed him late stages of training camp, put in some, we ended up needing him. With the ankle injury to J.J. McCarthy week 2 in primetime against the Falcons. And then his shoulder looked like it was going to fall off, and it may have been a man physically dying on the field in that Chargers game. It ended ugly. And then his season was over. He had surgery, but he's coming back. So Kyler, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer. So kind of the idea behind it, maybe I saw Lieber posting about this on X, maybe the concept that this could be more of a true competition than we believe it to be. I'm really not sure if I personally am ready to go there yet. The deal that you get, the risk-free nature of signing a Kyler Murray, that's one thing financially. Certainly, it's infinitely more palatable, of course, than having to take on what Arizona's going to pay for him not to play for them. But in the end, from an equity standpoint and from a quality standpoint, it still feels like it's competition in air quotes in the way that I'm looking at it. And it sparks some interesting talkers. Is Wentz potentially the QB2? What does it mean for the future of J.J. McCarthy? I'll admit, I'm not ready to go to the idea that Carson Wentz is back and therefore the Vikings are currently scurrying behind the scenes in Egan to figure out how to trade J.J. McCarthy. I don't believe that's necessarily the case, but it is intriguing, and it is now a situation that only continues to cement what Kevin O'Connell was talking about, raising the level of the QB room and the marriage of a guy and a Kyler Murray that is trying to find that next big payday. This is a career resurgence spot for him. That urgency there, it's marrying it with the urgency of the coach who's entering year 5 without a playoff win, and the quarterback spot has to be so much better and so much more stable than it was just a year ago. So entering Carson Wentz into the mix, when he's healthy, he's stable. When he's healthy, the offense appeared to run much more closely to what you would have anticipated or asked from the head coach than it did from J.J. McCarthy at various times. And so, and they know him. They know him, and I think he's got a lot of fans in the building, Carson Wentz does. So you don't have to throw out the number 11 purple jerseys quite yet. You're going to get an opportunity, it sounds like, to see some of him at least in off-season and training camp, preseason-related activities as this thing unfolds into 2026. So just some bits to chew on, News to Nord style, brought to you by Canterbury Park, the casino at Canterbury Park. And we are going to pause, and when we return, the host of 9 to Noon and Anthony LaPanta, the hair. TV play-by-play guy for the Minnesota Wild. They're going to be joining me here in the GM box at TRIA, and we'll be back 9 to noon on the Fan.